Today, we're diving into the work of a philosopher who basically turned our understanding of time, reality, and even our own minds completely upside down. Get ready for Henri Bergson.
You know that feeling, right? An amazing afternoon with friends flies by in what feels like 5 minutes. But then, a boring 5-minute meeting can feel like an hour. We usually just brush that off, but Bergson asks this amazing question. What if that feeling isn't just a feeling? What if your inner sense of time is actually more real than the clock? What if the clock is lying to you?
And that one simple question gets us to the absolute core of Bergson's philosophy. He believed that we're all living in a state of confusion because we're constantly mixing up two totally different kinds of time.
So, on one hand, you've got clock time. It's useful, for sure. It's the time of science, of schedules. We picture it like a ruler, a line that we can chop up into neat, identical little seconds and minutes. But Bergson thought this was a complete fiction. He called it a ghost of space that we impose on the world. And then there's what he called la duree, or duration. This is real time, the time we actually live and feel. It isn't a line of dots. It's a continuous, flowing stream where the past is always pouring into the present, changing it, coloring it, so that no two moments are ever really the same.
He had his perfect analogy for it. Think about listening to your favorite song. You don't hear it as a sequence of separate notes, right? Note 1, then note 2, then note 3. No way. You experience it as one single flowing whole. Each note carries the memory of all the notes that came before it. You feel it as a quality, not a quantity. And Bergson says, that's it. That's the real texture of your life. That's la durée.
Okay, so that raises a big question. If reality is this continuous, melodic flow, why on earth do we perceive it as a series of separate, static moments? Well, Bergson says there's one main culprit, and it's sitting right between our ears. It's our intellect.
See, Bergson argued our intellect didn't evolve to be some deep, truth-seeking machine. Not at all. It evolved for one simple, practical reason, to help us act on the world. I mean, to make a spear or build a fire, you need to see the world as a collection of solid, stable, predictable things. As he put it, we're designed for action, much more than we are for pure thought. So our intellect is basically a survival tool, not a reality-perceiving machine.
And here's his most brilliant analogy for how it works. Think of an old movie projector, a cinematograph. A movie isn't really moving, is it? It's just a long strip of still photographs, maybe 24 of them for every second. The projector flashes them on the screen so fast that it creates the illusion of smooth motion. Bergson says, that's your brain. Your intellect is doing that to reality 24/7. It takes static snapshots of a constantly flowing world and strings them together. It's super useful for sure, but it completely misses the real seamless movement of life itself.
So, are we just stuck? Trapped inside this mental movie theater our whole lives, only seeing the illusion? Bergson says absolutely not. He believed we have another way of knowing, a kind of secret back door to reality that lets us experience the flow directly. He called it intuition.
Now, when Bergson talks about intuition, he does not mean some fuzzy gut feeling. For him, it's a serious, disciplined philosophical method. Think of it this way. The intellect is like a biologist who stands outside a bird, analyzing its feathers and bones. Intuition, on the other hand, is about trying to feel what it's like to be the bird in flight. It's an act of intellectual sympathy, getting inside the flow of a thing to grasp it from within.
And let me tell you, this idea absolutely electrified other thinkers at the time. The great philosopher William James put it perfectly. He said reading Bergson was like a breath of fresh air, a total escape from the boring theories of dusty-minded professors. It was a philosophy that felt immediate, vibrant, and alive.
So what happens when Bergson takes this powerful tool, his method of intuition, and points it at the biggest subject of all, life itself? Well, he comes up with his most famous and radical concept, the élan vital, or the vital impetus. Looking at life from the inside, he didn't see a slow, mechanical process. He saw a formidable push, a huge, original, creative surge of life that exploded into the universe, constantly inventing new and totally unpredictable forms.
So, you know that classic image of evolution, the monkey slowly standing up into a man in a straight line? Yeah, Bergson would say, just throw that in the garbage. For him, evolution is messy, chaotic, and wildly creative. He described it like a bursting shell. This initial force of life explodes, and its fragments explode, and their fragments explode again. It's a process filled with dead ends, strange side projects, and happy accidents. There's no straight line, and there is no pre-written goal.
Okay, that's all pretty mind-bending stuff. Flowing time, a creative universe. But what does any of it mean for you and me, right here, right now? This is where it gets really personal. Bergson connects all these big ideas to the very core of what it means to be human, our memory, our soul, and our freedom.
All right, get ready for this, because it's a wild one. For Bergson, your memories are not physically stored inside your brain. We think of the brain as a hard drive, but he said that's totally wrong. The brain is more like an antenna or a modem. It's the organ that pulls our memories out of a non-physical reality and brings them into the present moment so we can act. But memory itself, the entire fabric of your past, is spiritual. It's the proof, he says, that we are much more than just our physical bodies. And he has another beautiful way of explaining this. Imagine a massive symphony orchestra playing the most incredible complex music. That's your consciousness, your soul. Now, look at the conductor's little baton. That's your brain. The brain is just the tool that focuses a tiny part of that vast symphony for a specific, practical action in the here and now. The baton doesn't create the music. The symphony of the soul is infinitely larger. And all of this leads to freedom. A truly free act for Bergson is rare. It's not about choosing coffee or tea. He says it only happens in those huge, life-altering moments, those solemn crises, where a decision doesn't come from a logical pro-con list. Instead, it just wells up from the absolute depths of your personality. In that moment, your action is you. It's your entire past and your whole character, all expressing itself in one single creative act. That, for him, is true freedom. So when you put all of these pieces together, what's the ultimate takeaway? What's the world according to Bergson? It's a vision of a universe that is fundamentally open, dynamic, creative, and unwritten. And you can see him building this grand system piece by piece in his major works. He starts in 1889 with our personal experience of time, la durée. Then in 1896 he takes on the huge problem of the mind and brain. And finally, in 1907, he goes cosmic, scaling up his ideas to all of life with the élan vital. Each book is a step towards a bigger, more complete vision.
And a huge part of that vision, and this can be a tough pill to swallow, is that we humans are not the end goal of evolution. The élan vital wasn't aiming for us. We're just one of its many, many creative experiments, one successful branch on a giant sprawling tree. The universe isn't some epic story with us as the final chapter. It's more like a wild, ongoing improvisation.
And so, Bergson leaves us with this profound challenge. Our intellect has built us a solid, stable, practical world for us so that we can get things done. But his whole philosophy is an invitation to use our intuition to sense the deeper reality that's humming just beneath the surface. This flowing, creative, vibrant world. The question he leaves us with is this: what are you missing? What deeper reality is passing you by every single moment that you trust the clock on the wall more than the flow of life within you?